Members, would you all please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Kathleen, can we get roll call, please?
Wilson.
Here.
Davidson.
Here.
Fleming.
Here.
McCampbell.
Here.
Scott.
Here. All right. Tonight, first, we're going to start off with a presentation from CNH and local UAW 807 for purchasing of trees. Not everybody at once. Come on. All right. All right. Yes, please. All right, please. Just get a jump start. Go ahead.
So, Mr. Mayor, on behalf of CNH and Case Construction and the United Auto Workers, we would like to present the city with a check for $5,000 to support the replacement of trees program. So.
We certainly appreciate that. Can we have you guys, can we get a picture of this? This $5,000 is going to be used for some
That's a nice
beautiful
move.
tree lighting.
Yeah.
Let's get you guys up here, okay?
Get Patrick Moore.
Yeah, where's Patrick? Well, Patrick Moore.
What are we gonna do here?
Gotta get Patrick in on that.
Patrick did a great job of training us how to properly do that. He did a very good job. We learned a lot that day.
That's right, man. That's right. Come on and get on this, everybody. Come on.
I don't want to block
We
you.
certainly appreciate you guys.
No, feel free.
No problem. Ta-da. They got it.
Thank you, folks. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I want to say
you.
this again. My mother told me this a long time ago. She said, nobody has to do anything for you. Whenever somebody does something, it means a lot. You want to shake your hand again? Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for the
Certainly appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Great. If you guys want to come back next week with more money, you're more than welcome to. Just throwing that out there. Okay. Next on the agenda tonight is the Fireball Run update for Skype.
Enter your
There we are. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yep, we have you on, Jay.
Yes.
You're on the big screen, so you can go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay. I hope everybody is doing okay in Burlington. You guys have a wonderful town out there.
Doing
I thought it
good.
was one of the hits for what we're doing this year. So, would you like me to just carry on and tell you a little bit about the show? Is that what I'm supposed to do? Or were there going to be questions?
Carry on, sir.
I think they'd like you to carry on, and we'll let you know if there's any questions.
Okay. One of the beauties of Fireball Run, it's multifaceted. So there's different aspects of the show that we put together to drive interest and drive viewership. But at its core, Fireball Run is an adventure travel series. So one thing to make sure is that we understand the differences of this type of property versus other shows. One, it is wholly and entirely not a game show. Game show is something like Family Feud or Wheel of Fortune, right? Fireball Run uses a format of a contest only so much as it allows us to tell the story of destinations using points of interest. Because quite frankly, if it were a documentary on towns, it probably wouldn't be as interesting. So that's why we add the formula where teams are going from place to place and they're playing a game based on trivia, based on points of interest. So at the end of the day, the story for the show is the destination. not even the characters that are in it, because Fireball Run is also not a reality series. We're something called factual entertainment. A reality series is focused on drama and personal conflict. That is what drives a reality show. Fireball Run is factual entertainment. That means every experience seen in the show is authentic as well educational. So for the viewers, it's the opportunity to vicariously go to destinations using the passion and the excitement of a whole cast of characters. But the characters are not the focus. They're simply the catalyst to carry one person from one story to another. Like I say, at the end of the day, the story is the destinations. We're making a uniquely stylized travel series about destinations in a way that people will be entertained and they'll be educated. So every point of interest that's included in the show becomes a different micro story for the audience to follow. If the contestant is going to a museum, it's the opportunity for us to introduce the museum, its history, why it exists, why it's important, and why the artifact hidden there is so significant. So if none of you have watched the show, I encourage you to do so. It's really, really good. If you like to learn things and be entertained, Fireball Run's a great show. You will learn things about destinations sometimes you have never heard of, and of the ones you have heard of, you may have not seen them in that way or knew all the neat, unique things that there are available. So that's what Fireball Run is. It's an opportunity for a community to get its name out there to a wide audience and to introduce all the things that make it unique. Its culture, its history, and of its points of interest, sometimes businesses, sometimes attractions. But in either case, it's the story of destinations. Like I say, we have the characters in there simply to give you something interesting to follow while you get from location to location. One of the other unique things of the show, which is very different from any television show that exists, and I'm going to say that this is very, very unique, it's the fact that we make it so all the contestants in the show are all business leaders, either business leaders, celebrities, elected leaders, or other persons of note. We do that because we wanted to bring key influencers to communities. We could have cast this just like any other show, but in fact we do not. This is not Amazing Race, which has reality show actors in it. These people are deal makers, they're investors, they're developers, but in any case, they're all key influential people. So when they walk away from a community, the goal is you've touched their lives personally and authentically. Your hospitality is what gets their attention. 95% of these people have probably never heard of Burlington, and they're very exclusive. And now they're going to have the opportunity to absolutely touch it and experience it firsthand. Our contestants often say that the teams that Fireball Run takes them to the places they typically fly over. Now, as I've told every destination before you and destinations that are coming on board for next season, we do not guarantee that some kind of business opportunity is going to come from this show. But what we do guarantee is we're going to bring the people that are key influencers that have the capability to bring jobs, expand locations, relocate headquarters, or buy second or third vacation homes. That is what we guarantee. It is up to your economic development to continue the relationships that they'll make through these introductions and develop them to see if over time something greater can come out of this television show. But again, it's an adventure travel series. It's just the fact that we wanted to bring a little bit more value to the destinations in unique ways, and one of the ways was to bring key influencers to a community.
That sounds pretty phenomenal.
We're pretty excited. I would like to know, are you going to spend a little bit more time on Burlington than the other communities? That's something that would be really nice.
Can you hear the mayor?
I cannot hear any questions, so if you want to reiterate the question to me, I can answer and respond.
Is there any?
John, we're all just really excited.
Everyone here
John,
is just
thank you.
excited to have it come to Burlington.
We're excited to be there. I'm going to say this again. When my people qualify what are a number of destinations that apply, I get a very limited release from them until we go to the location. I'm going to tell you that we were extremely, extremely shocked by all the opportunities we saw. And no, I do not say that with every destination. We were very surprised at the level of industry that your community has. We're very surprised at the aesthetic that your community has. You have a very beautiful downtown. It is developing. It's not completed, but we can see where it's going. So you had a lot of great things out there that for me, who didn't really have a lot of information going in, was very, very surprised. You guys have a lot of content that is likely going to happen as a result of the show. And so we're going to feature all those unique things. But I did want to say, we were very surprised at the amount of items that were out there and the unique parameters of the community. Not every community we get to say that about. We were very surprised. It's a beautiful community you have out there. We're equally as excited to go to your community as you're to have us come there. So we want it to be very successful. We want to see all the kids, all the marching bands. We want to see lots of families, because Fireball Run is a family-friendly show. Once again, we do not focus on drama. We do not focus on the negative. We focus on the good of communities, and that's what we want to show of yours. I understand that your mayor will be in Fireball Run, and I do want to say that is not atypical. We have lots of government leaders that have participated and continue to participate in Fireball Run. Lieutenant governors, we've had senators, we've had congressional leaders, you have a state rep just about from every state in this thing sometimes. And the fact of the matter is, they're all there for a couple reasons. Bring positive attention to their community, network with very influential guests, and also become ambassadors to about their community in the other destinations we go to. This is the first time we will have 2 serving term mayors from the same state in Fireball Run. And I think that's pretty cool, because you've got some very good representation for your state. Every mayor is different, and that's the greatest thing about it. Every story's different, every destination's different, every community leader is different. But what's nice is your mayor out there is going to be in Fireball Run advocating and networking for your community with a very unique base of successful people. So we really appreciate everything you are doing, and we're extremely excited to be there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for taking the time.
We appreciate
You've
your
got
time.
it. You can now go on with campaign redistricting and taxes and all the other great things that come out of city council meetings. But we're the one positive, so we appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Have a good afternoon.
Thanks a lot, Jay.
Have a good night.
Okay. Next on the agenda tonight is the consent agenda. All matters listed under item 1 consent agenda, having been discussed, are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussions of these items. If a discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. On the consent, we have finances and miscellaneous, minutes of previous meetings, payroll and city claims, beer, liquor, wine, and cigarettes, reports and bonds. You have 2 resolutions. The first is a resolution to enter into agreement with Impact 7G, Inc., related to a U.S. Environmental Protection Agency grant award for Brownsfield area-wide planning grant. The second is a resolution approving agreement between the City of Burlington, Iowa, and Hamilton Walter Marine Corps League Detachment 616 for use of Memorial Auditorium. We have 6 public hearings set for June 19th. First is consideration of an ordinance amending Chapter 126 taxi cabs and vehicles for hire of the Burlington City Code. Second is consideration of an ordinance amending Chapter 127 vehicles for hire drivers of the Burlington City Code. The third is consideration of an ordinance vacating and selling a portion of Denmark Street right-of-way located west of South Main Street. The fourth is consideration of an ordinance vacating and selling a portion of alley right-of-way located north of Etna Street and east of South Plain Street. The fifth is consideration of sale of property locally known as 1336 Garnett Street, City of Burlington, Iowa, with conditions. And the sixth is consideration of an ordinance amending Section 170.50 Board of Adjustment of Chapter 170 Zoning Code of the City of Burlington Municipal Code. And we also have some appointments as well. Mayor Pro Tem?
We have 2 vacancies on the Flint Hills Golf Advisory Committee, and Richard Maxwell and Tish Keltner have volunteered to serve there, and we appreciate their willingness to volunteer.
Is there anybody from the audience that would like to have any of these items removed from the consent agenda? I see none. Council?
Yeah, I'd like to have number 1 of the resolutions pulled.
I would like to pull, I guess it's 1 and 2. Well, there's no reason to pull that yet. That's good. Anything else, you guys?
I motion to approve items listed under consent agenda, excluding number 1 in resolutions.
Second?
Moved in second. Kathleen?
Wilson.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Fleming.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Okay. This is time set for hearing for consideration of a sale of property locally known as 1114 Linden Street, City of Burlington, Iowa, with conditions. Publication has been made in the Hawkeye as prescribed by law. Mr. Tisland?
This is property we acquired through the abandoned building program again, located at 1114 Linden Street, just west of Ashman. It is a vacant lot. The home was demolished by the city. The garage does remain. It was a garage that was in good condition, and we did have interest in acquiring the property by an adjacent property owner with the garage remaining, which would make property legal under our zoning code. So with that, the conditions of purchase would either be an adjacent property owner acquiring the lot and combining with their own to allow the garage, or constructing a new home on the lot within 180 days of purchase. We do have one offer at this time from the property owner at 1116 Linden Street, directly to the west of the property, from Christopher Klein, for $500.
Okay. Well, if we have a $500 bid, let's open it up. If there's anybody here that wants to put a bid on this property, and then we're going to ask that you come up to the podium and give us your name and address. We have an opening bid of $500 from Christopher Klein. Is Christopher here tonight? Okay.
I'll make a bid. $600.
Just a note on the conditions is you do either have to be an adjacent property owner or be willing to build a single-family home on the property within 6 months.
6 months, yeah, I never did. So if you don't build a house, then what? Goes back to the city?
Yeah, we would not transfer deed, but
Okay. $600.
Do you need to
Can I
come and
get
give
your,
us your name?
yeah, can I get your,
Kelly Hall.
can I have you come to use the microphone, please?
Kelly Hall, 816 Valley.
Okay, have a bid of 600? No other bids? Going once? Going twice? Sold for $600 to Kelly Hole, A16 Valley Street.
so for that, before I guess we go forward, full payment is required within 30 days of sale. We do need a building permit within 30 days of the purchase, paid for by the property owner as well. or by the purchaser. It is a smaller lot, so there will be some restrictions or difficulties in developing it, so just want to make that known tonight, that it is a difficult lot to develop based on the size, and payment would be required.
Within 30 days.
That's pretty good.
Motion to close?
Second.
Kathleen?
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Introduce the resolution.
There you go.
I have a resolution approving acquisition and development agreement. Nope, I'm on the wrong one. I have a resolution approving the sale of property locally known as 1114 Linden Street, City of Burlington, Iowa, with conditions.
Second. Kathleen?
Well, then you should have a motion to amend.
And then I
Should-
would like
should
to
we
amend it?
amend. I would like to amend Exhibit C of the resolution approving the sale of property locally known as 1114 Linden Street, City of Burlington, Des Moines County, Iowa, that the property be sold to Kelly Hull of 816 Valley, Burlington, Iowa, in the amount of $600.
Second.
Moved and second. Kathleen?
Okay, this is on the amendment.
This is on the, right, this is on the amendment.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
And as amended?
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Okay. We have a property sold, 816 Valley Street. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Would ask, since we don't have a current bid on the property, that Kelly be able to fill this out before she leaves the bid form, so that we have the information.
I'll write you a check.
We just need that signed and filled out.
Okay. Right. Next, we have consideration of an urban renewal competitive bid process and intention to accept proposal for sale and development of city property.
Through this. This is the Apollo School property at 1201 Valley Street. Can go over some of the details of the acquisition and development agreement. This agreement is for construction of a mixed-use redevelopment of the site. The developer will acquire the property from the city for $100,000 to be paid at closing. Develop approximately 40 high-end residential units with the potential to include some commercial uses as well. Developer shall submit and prepare rezoning application to rezone the property to a planned unit development to allow the mixed use of the property. Developer agrees to deed over any land or right-of-way necessary to expand the size of the cul-de-sac at the west end of University Place. Some of the conditions of the city are extending the boundaries of the urban revitalization area to include this property to be eligible for the 10-year tax abatement program that is currently the area in the downtown area outlined in blue. So that would extend into this red area here where the Apollo School site is, with extending the time frame of the eligible improvements for this area from 2019 to the expiration date to 2023. City would vacate upon application College Street, which is the road directly to the west of the school, between the school and the parking lot, which does not serve any other properties other than the school. And then developer had requested upgraded street lighting on University Place, as well as expanding the size of the cul-de-sac at the western terminus of University Place. I think the closing of the property is estimated around within 60 days of approval by the council. I know the developer has expressed interest in getting the roof and getting in and cleaning it out as soon as possible and starting work on cleaning up the site, the windows and the roof, so that it's a closed facility and kind of deter some of the future nuisances on the property. Jesse has anything further, but
Nothing to add. Do I have any questions or concerns from anybody from the audience? I see none. Council?
My position has not changed on this issue. Back when Miller Valentine made the proposal, we gave them a year to get it done, and I said at that point, if they couldn't do it, then I was in favor of tearing it down. And I'm still in that position, so I will not be supporting this issue.
Any other comments?
Motion to close?
Second.
Kathleen?
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye?
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Here I have a resolution approving acquisition and development agreement with Midwest Cornerstone Property Management LLC and authorizing sale of city-owned property.
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen, let's take it to vote.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
No?
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Okay, moving forward. Next, we have consideration on a proposal to enter into a sewer revenue loan and disbursement agreement in a principal amount not to exceed $308,956.67.
This loan is from the state revolving fund run through the state of Iowa. The amount that you see there, the $308,000, is the remainder of the contract that we have with HR Green to do the separation design work for the Locust Basin, part of the MASL Basin. We previously had an SRF loan for planning and design. This makes the remainder of that. What happens with these planning and design loans is they are taken out from the SRF at 0% interest. And then when construction loan is taken out for the work, they are rolled into the construction loan. So,
Sounds reasonable.
Any questions or concerns from the audience? I see none. Council? A motion to close?
Motion to close, Your Honor.
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen?
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye?
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye. Your Honor, a resolution taking additional action in respect to sewer revenue loan and disbursement agreement and authorization, approving and securing the payment of $308,956.67 sewer revenue loan and disbursement agreement, anticipating project note IFA interim loan and disbursement agreement.
Second?
Moved in second. Kathleen, let's vote again.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye?
Fleming, McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Well done.
Your Honor, a motion for preliminary adoption of the second reading of an amendment of an ordinance number 3403, an ordinance creating Harbor View Estates PUD.
Second.
Mr. Tisland?
this is an amendment to the existing ordinance. This PUD was previously approved by Planning Commission and City Council. The developer has requested to amend it with some changes, adding 2 additional attached housing units on the west side of the property. Previously, there was 14 attached units. This would increase that to 16. Modifying some of the setbacks within the development, also creating a cul-de-sac on the north-south drive with an outlot to allow future connection to the property to the north. With surety that would be installed should the property to the north be installed. Also increase the detention pond on the south side of the property. There was formerly an additional outlot within the development. Lot 17 here was an outlot, and they increased the size of the detention pond on the south side of this to cover that change. The developer has requested, again, to waive the sidewalks on one side of the subdivision on the north and west side of this. It is not currently in the ordinance. It would need to be amended to include that within the PUD. Once the PUD is approved by council, then the preliminary plat, they previously had an approved preliminary plat prior to the request for modification. This new preliminary plat would come back once this PUD is approved and go through that process.
we have any comments, questions, or concerns from the audience? Yes, sir.
Scott Deal, 613 North Garfield. Concerning this, is when we're talking about the sidewalks, are we asking, is the developer asking for a variance that he not have to put in what is required of every other developer in other subdivisions as far as sidewalks are concerned? Is that what we're talking about? Is that part of this motion?
Just that particular 3 lots, isn't it, Eric? How many?
It would be on the lots 20 through 25.
Okay, so on that side over there.
So he is asking for a
For
variance.
sidewalks on one side and
For
sidewalks.
just one side instead of both sides. I heard about this several weeks ago, and in anticipation of tonight's meeting, I spoke with a couple of different developers that have done subdivisions in this community, and they do not believe that he should receive a variance if they've never received a variance for the same reason. They just think, you're setting a precedent when you start changing things for one developer, and then the next developer comes along and asks for another variance, and you just continue snowball effect when you do these types of things. I don't think that's the right precedent to set. As far as sidewalks, just to bring up briefly, it was just in a Washington Monthly article. Excuse me, I had it footnoted here, but it talks about what Americans, especially the millennial generation, millennials, I'm sorry, I had it here. The main thing is that I talk about that walkable communities are extremely desirable to the millennial generation and to people purchasing new homes. They want to have sidewalks. They have dogs, they have other animals, whatnot. People don't want to have to walk on one side of the road in the street and then other people walking on the sidewalk on the other side. So, there's 2 issues here. One, I don't believe it's fair to other developers if you give a variance to this developer and not to others then in the future. Then you might as well just throw out the rules if you're going to continue to give variances, to one person and not to previous developers. They don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair. It's not equitable. And then the other thing is that according to National Magazine, people do like walkable communities, and that means having sidewalks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Other comments or concerns from the audience?
Scott Zeiser, 456 Upper Flint Road. I am the developer of this, and yes, I do understand ordinances, but this case, I think you can do it case by case. This case is a non-through road. It's got a cul-de-sac in it. It's obviously developed on the south side for all the condos to use the sidewalk, and then we have a sidewalk on the east side too. You have Cliff Road, who has one sidewalk, and that's a busy major street. And this is just going to be, it's not high traffic, it's low traffic. And again, I think you can do it case by case is what I think you can on this. So I just ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Scott.
Are there any other comments from the audience?
I have a question for Scott.
Well, you can do that out there. We're not taking questions for him in here.
No, the developer.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Kelly
Yeah,
Hall,
we-
816 Valley. I just don't understand why it's a big deal to even put the sidewalks in. Last time I heard Ms. Wilson talk about uniformity and the sidewalks and how that's so important. So, why not just put them in? People want to walk their dogs, their kids want to ride on the sidewalk. It's not that big of a deal to put in a sidewalk. Might as well just put it in. So maybe you can address it.
Thank you.
I can address that. It's called $35,000. So, it's going to be taking the homeowners.
Can I have you address the council? Just, they're watching on TV, so they want
I'm
to
sorry.
see you.
It's going to have to transfer, the dollars are gonna transfer to somebody, and it's gonna go to the lot owners. So basically, I'm trying to save them 35,000 divided by how many lots are on that sidewalk, so that was my projective.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Council? Comments?
Sidewalks aren't a part of this, at this point. It's not been amended to include or to waive the sidewalks. For me, it's a non-issue right now.
I guess I take exception to the ordinance itself. I mean, I guess I don't see a universal need for sidewalks on both sides, no matter the circumstance. I mean, the density issues, the traffic issues, and what have you. So I guess what I'm proposing one of these days at least is consider at least looking at the ordinance. I agree with what one person said. We can't be making deals with this guy and that guy. I mean, we ought to be consistent, and I sure support that. But anyway, that's my thought at this time.
Any other thoughts before we move forward? Okay. Kathleen?
Okay. Wilson?
Aye.
Davidson?
Aye.
Fleming?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye. Now, a motion for preliminary adoption of the second reading of an ordinance rezoning the property locally known as 816 Valley Street from M1 Light Industrial to C3 Central Business District, Downtown Mixed Use Zoning District.
Second.
Mr. Tisland?
Property at 816 Valley Street, between Jefferson and Valley, just west of 8th Street. Former Dial Building, request to rezone from M1 Light Industrial to C3 Downtown Mixed Use. Currently, under the current zoning, residential use is not allowed within the building. Rezoning to C3 would allow a mixture of commercial or residential use. There is commercial to the north and to the east, and is stated on our future land use map of our comprehensive plan as a downtown mixed-use area. So, Planning Commission did recommend 4-0 to approve this request.
All righty. Any questions or concerns from the audience? I see none. Council?
Your Honor, I have a motion to amend. Motion to amend the motion for preliminary adoption of the second reading of an ordinance rezoning the property locally known as 816 Valley Street from M1 Light Industrial to C3 Central Business District, Downtown Mixed Use Zoning District to read as follows. For waiver of preliminary consideration and adoption of the second reading, and for final adoption of an ordinance rezoning property locally known as 816 Valley Street from M1 Light Industrial to C3 Central Business District, Downtown Mixed Use Zoning District.
Second that.
Okay. Let's vote on the amendment.
Wilson?
Aye.
Davidson?
Aye.
Fleming?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Now, as amended,
Wilson?
Aye.
Davidson?
Aye.
Fleming?
Aye.
Campbell?
aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Well done.
Your Honor, I have a motion for preliminary adoption of the second reading of an ordinance amending section 137.08 of chapter 137 sidewalk regulations of the City of Burlington Municipal Code.
Second.
Thank you.
The change in the ordinance before you is striking out the current language that says a minimum of 50 inches, changing it to 48 inches, which is ADA and SUDAS standard, and then adding in language on the back end that allows the Public Works Director, myself, to match existing where it currently is not 48 inches. We do have some 36-inch sidewalk in town. This code change is in light of the rest of the sidewalk that we have that is 48 inches. And it helps with just implementing the sidewalk distances, so.
Okay. Do you have any questions or concerns from the audience? I see none on this. Council?
Your Honor, I have a motion to amend. Motion to amend the motion for preliminary adoption of the second reading of an ordinance amending section 137.08 of chapter 137 sidewalk regulations of the City of Burlington Municipal Code to read as follows. For waiver of preliminary consideration and adoption of the second reading, and for final adoption of an ordinance amending 137.08 of Chapter 137 sidewalk regulations of the City of Burlington Municipal Code.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's vote on the amendment.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
And now as amended?
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Number 4?
I'm next.
Yes, sir.
Motion for waiver of notice and public hearing as required under Section 2, publication notice and hearing of the City of Burlington's procedural rules for ordinance adoption in regards to the ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Burlington, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to fireworks.
Second.
So,
Chief, okay. Go ahead.
would you like me to explain it?
Yeah, go ahead.
This motion allows for a waiver of the notice for public hearing and the public hearing itself for the ordinance change. Your city council code, or rules rather, dictate that ordinance changes need to have notice and publication of the public hearing, to have the public hearing in order to make an ordinance change. What this motion does is allows you to waive that notice and the public hearing and go straight into ordinance change. Now, it does have to be approved by a supermajority, which is 4 aye votes, and we are well within state code to do this.
Okay. Does anybody have any concerns, questions? Okay. Council?
I'm not in favor of this. We have a procedure in place for a reason, and I really don't like the idea of deviating from it.
I don't have any issue with it.
I mean, we have to figure something out with the fireworks before people just
I'm
start.
not specifically against the fireworks
No, I
thing.
know, I know.
But I
I
think
get what you're saying, it just,
we have a procedure in place for fireworks the way it is, and so I don't see why we have to be in such a big hurry. And like I say, I just don't like the idea of making a change for a change's sake.
Any other comments? Kathleen?
Wilson,
aye.
Davidson,
No?
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Number 5.
Motion for plenary adoption of the first reading of an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Burlington, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to fireworks.
Second.
Chief?
Good evening. Yeah, just briefly, it's what we discussed at the work session. It's a stopgap measure to keep our current ordinance in place until maybe you want to take another look. I mean, it's going to be up to you. I mean, I'm in favor of the ban. It's been banned since I moved to Burlington in '87, so I'm sure prior to that, you know, like I talked about, we have a lot of pets in the community, elderly people in the community, a lot of people with pets. I mean, granted, there's going to be unlawful use. We know that. There is every year. But like I said, there's a very large percentage of people that won't because it is illegal. And so, I mean, currently that's the way it is. And that's my recommendation, that it would stay that way. And this ordinance would allow that stopgap measure. It's just simply a change in how the fireworks are defined. If you look at what's been actually taken out of the ordinance and what's been put in. So, and I'm confident that the fire chief, we've discussed this, is going to come forward once this is in place with some solutions to the sale and the inspection and how all that plays out, so.
Okay.
Any questions for Chief? Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions from the audience?
You know me, my name is Dean Fennessy, I'm Brewingtorium. I'm with him about fireworks. It was basically passed cause MONEY. Basically, a lot of people are gonna get injured, killed, wounded. But I'll give a case scenario. I live on Northern Drive. We had about a block away. We had people shooting off fireworks. Bang, boom, bang, boom, and we were about 10 to 20 feet away. Where I live, I have a car and apartment. And that's what I'm concerned about. Like he said, some people are gonna do this. And, you know, this is a law now in Iowa, but if I had my way, like I said, it wouldn't be no firework. I'd rather have the pros do them than amateurs. But I'm like him, I agree about that I don't like I just like the ban of, I'd rather have fashionables do their fireworks and let them do it, so that way people not get injured or wounded forever and property damaged. Because that's just my opinion. That's gonna be it about this. I'll talk about other things when you ask about, I got my hearing back, so now I can hear you better.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Dean. Anyone else from the audience? Council? Kathleen?
Wilson.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Fleming.
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Okay.
Your Honor, I move we approve the awarding of the contract for the 2017 flood wall mitigation Phase 5.
Second.
Thank you, sir.
This project was bid out 2 weeks ago, and the engineer's estimated cost was $6.5 million. The bids came in. S&G Construction had a bid of I said that wrong. $6,217,965.83 at the low bid. This project is funded from the flood board mitigation grant that we received that uses sales tax increment financing. This is the first of 4 more phases that will include stormwater pumps in the next phase, as well as additional flood wall. I can answer any other questions, I guess.
Construction to begin immediately after Steamboat Day.
Correct, July 1st is the estimated time frame,
Sweet.
taking about 12 months to complete.
12 months.
They estimate between 8 to 12, so depending on river levels.
Any questions or concerns from the audience? I see none. Council? Kathleen?
Wilson.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Fleming.
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Your Honor, I move that we approve the awarding the contract for the 2017 Seal Coat Streets Program.
Second.
Moved in second.
Good evening, Bob Wright, the city engineering manager. I have here just a map, you can find it on our website, just to highlight in green there the streets that this will cover, mostly in the southern part of Burlington at 14th Street, Park Avenue, Dunham Street, several other blocks there on South Central, South Penn Street. And then there's a few streets up on the north end with Pearl, Pond, and Lincoln. The bids came in by W.L. Miller, who performed this seal coat last year, as well as Cessford Construction, and we recommend award to W.L. Miller. There's also a photo here. I know Mr. Fleming asked last week about the difference between pea gravel and crushed limestone chips, and so there's some zoomed in examples there, but again, the pea gravel will hold a uniform shape and compaction there. If it does break free, go to the side of the road, there's much less dust than the chip limestone. So it's a very nominal increase in the pricing of that material.
And we are recommending going with the pea gravel as the component rather than the limestone.
Good.
I believe the price difference was $352,000 to $363,000, so a price difference of $11,000. That being said, the dust alone, I think, is well worth that. That and also the limestone chips tend to break down over time, whereas the pea gravel is a lot harder material and it'll stand up a little longer.
Good. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Any comments or questions from the audience? I see none. Council? Kathleen?
Wilson.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Fleming.
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Your Honor, I move for approval of the final plat of the Lau subdivision.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Tisland?
This is a one-lot subdivision located east off of Osborne Street, in the 900 block of Osborne Street, just north of Arch. Subdividing off an existing building in order to transfer that from the current property. Current property boundary includes, I guess, the 4 buildings on the site, and they're subdividing off this existing building on the northwest corner of Osborne to be able to sell that building off and retain the other 3. This does meet our requirements for a minor subdivision and does not include any new infrastructure.
Audience, questions or concerns? I see none. Council?
Good.
None here.
Good.
Kathleen?
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Well done.
Your Honor, I move for approval of resolution of support for YJ Development for parking.
Second?
I have the resolution before you. It has been amended since the work session. At the end of it, I added the on-street parking on Valley, the Fifth and Valley parking that we currently own, as well as it's very general language, but that we will help in assistance with the parking on the southwest lot, which is the BNSF lot. I believe Jesse Caston and YJ Development representatives are here. I spoke with Jesse about the resolution. It's expanding upon the general conversations that we've had about the city's involvement with parking.
Jesse? Anything to, or any of the? Okay. Anybody from the audience have any questions? Okay, I see none. Council, any questions for any of the developers or? Good?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I have a question. Kelly Hall, 816 Valley.
Can you say that again, because people will complain that they.
Kelly Hall, 816 Valley.
Thank you.
YJ Development, I haven't heard anything about it. Can you elaborate on that?
Jesse maybe can explain it better than I am. The YG Development is currently has the option, I guess is maybe the right way to say it, on 2 buildings off of Valley Street for redevelopment into market rate apartments.
Valley Street, what's the exact address?
It's those up there that's on the picture.
On low vision, I can't see that. What is it?
He can get you that information after the meeting. He'll
Between
get that to
3rd
you.
and 5th on Valley,
3rd and 5th.
2 buildings.
Anybody else from the audience? Council? All right then. Kathleen?
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Your Honor, I move we approve the resolution to enter into an agreement with the Impact 7G Inc. related to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency grant award for Brownfields area-wide planning grant.
Second?
Moved in second. Mr. Tizzle?
The city,
I only asked for this because I want to abstain.
okay. I can give a brief overview, and our consultant's here, so that might be beneficial. The city received a grant from the EPA to do brownfield area-wide planning, specifically in the downtown area. This agreement was with Impact 7G to lead that charge, and Mike Fisher here with Impact 7G might be able to give a real brief overview on what that entails. There are a couple sub-consultants with that as well, Confluence and Leland, so.
Please.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi.
I'm Mike Fisher, Impact 7G. I'm from 9550 Clive, in Clive, Iowa, 9550 Hickman Road. This particular EPA assessment grant was awarded to the city of Burlington after preparation by the city and Southeast Iowa Regional Planning Commission. So it is in addition to the work that the city already had completed to land $400,000 of EPA assessment grant. This particular grant is for planning. So the idea here is to really do site-specific implementation plans that are going to help move properties. It includes market analysis. It includes GIS inventory of a lot of the structures in downtown, identifying traits, characteristics, what is going to make one better, what do we need to do from an implementation strategy to get a property to move toward private sector investment. So it's quite a different grant, but coming really from the same program at EPA. This will also help us prioritize sites for assessment under the other grant. So they're going to kind of work hand in hand.
That's cool.
And our sub-consultant on this is Confluence out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And Ben is here as well to talk about some of the work that Confluence does in the planning arena, specifically with regard to downtown redevelopment areas. Ben's also very familiar with Burlington, having grown up here. So, Ben, would you like to say a few words?
So you drove all the way here, Ben, you gotta come up and say something.
All the way from Cedar Rapids. Ben Sandell, 2121 2nd Street, Cedar Rapids. As was mentioned, I was born and raised here in Burlington, so it's always exciting to come back and then work on projects back in my hometown.
What's your last name?
Sandell.
Are you related to the mayor?
No, the other John Sandell.
Okay.
There's two John Sandells.
All right, just checking.
20-minute story. But I'm excited to come back. As we mentioned, we'll be doing a lot of inventory and GIS work, data gathering, demographics, market studies. Confluence's job is really to do community input, public input, gathering feedback from the citizens, and then helping turn that into a vision that we can move forward to with the assessment process. So, any questions for me?
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben. One other point to add is we have one other sub-consultant, it's Leland Consulting, and actually they're out of Oregon, so they're a long way from home. And you may wonder, why do we bring someone from Oregon to work on a project in Burlington, Iowa? It's because this small little firm has a great niche expertise in understanding market characteristics of a given region by really intellectual property methods, if you will, that they use to analyze areas. I mean, it goes beyond demographics. It goes beyond, I mean, their idea, what Leland will do is come in and do a market analysis on the downtown area, look at traits, attributes, what in the future might change that all of a sudden makes a property or an area more suitable to a different end land use. So it's really just, they have a small component, but it's a critical component to how Ben crafts the vision in terms of potential vision, alternative visions for properties. I think it's good to have alternatives. So that's what this is about. Eric, does that cover it for you? Okay.
Covered it for me.
Okay. Okay. I'll take any questions.
You guys have any questions?
Thank you.
Kelly Hall, 816 Valley. I'm curious, Eric, I didn't see any other bids on this particular scope of work from any other companies. Were there any? Did any other companies offer any pricing?
This was submitted through an RFQ process. There's a set amount through the grant, not to exceed a set amount, and every company submits that same amount. So it's selected through an RFQ process.
Yes, I'm very familiar with the RFQ process, but did any other companies besides 7G
We
submit?
had three different bids.
Three?
Three different proposals submitted.
What were the other bids?
I don't have those in front of me.
They're not on the website either. Who were the other companies?
I don't have those in front of me.
Okay, will you have
But we
them
can
at the
get
next-
that, we can get that information
Okay, great.
to you
I'd
later.
love to know. Thanks.
Any more questions that I can help answer?
We're good, I think.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Council?
I just wanted to say the reason I asked to bring this up is because I need to abstain from it because I have property in the downtown. That may be affected or not affected by this.
Sounds good. Any other comments? Kathleen?
Wilson?
Aye.
Davidson?
Aye.
Fleming?
Aye.
McCampbell?
Aye.
Scott?
Abstain.
Okay. This is where we'll take comments from the audience. Not everybody at once.
Okay, I'll try to make this brief. Like I said, I had earwax in my eardrum, my nose, and they put a tube, they punched it, so I can, like the guy said, I can hear you now. Basically, number one, how are we doing on replacing Mount Pleasant Bridge? Can anybody tell me that? Are we doing A-OK on that?
Mr. Mack?
Mount Pleasant Street Bridge is currently under design. It's scheduled to go out to bid on this DOT state bidding schedule in January. Construction to start next spring.
That's good. Now, I want to harp on this until it gets done. Cascade Bridge.
I knew where
Cascade
you were
Bridge,
going with
Cascade
that.
Bridge. We got to get, maybe we'll woke up to Iowa City with new governor, we'll just have a sit down and say, we want Cascade Bridge. But I'd like to get that done. What he said about Paulo School, I agree with him 100%. I don't want this to turn around 2 years from now, 3 years from now, where the guy basically comes here and says, I don't got the money, I don't have the resources, and we're right back where we were right here again. I just think it'd be best to just tear the whole building down and start from maybe build some low rent housing there. I'm biased about that. About sidewalks, it would be nice to have some nice sidewalks in this town to go for a walk, to do things like that. There's a lot of places in this town they don't have sidewalks. That woman asks about that parking area. I can tell her that's right next to where a block over past hopefully years I worked there. That's where you're talking about. But one thing I want to say, I know this is late, but I want to wish everybody a happy Memorial Day and any veterans here. Thank you for your service to this country. I do appreciate it. And we take our feelings for granted because look what we're doing here. In most countries, they don't have this. So I'll say this once again, may the Lord Jesus Christ give you wisdom and guidance in your decisions, and peace be with you.
Thank you, Dean.
Thank you, my friend.
Amen.
Mr. Sloan?
Owen T. Sloan, 1621 South 14th. Mr. Mayor, I have a question for Police Chief Baird and a comment. It's a good comment, so can I direct the question to him or to you?
Yeah, you can go ahead and direct it to him.
Chief Baird, I got a name, Officer Mixer. Do you recognize that name? Okay. My question is, I owe him a deep gratitude.
Take your time.
You'll have to excuse me a little bit. In the early morning hours of May the 14th, I had to call 911 and take my wife. They took my wife out to the hospital. Emergency room at that time of morning was virtually bare. There's no one there. The lights was out. Rang the buzzer, and the lady said, "Well, you have to wait. She's getting some tests, and whatever." And I could tell it was serious, and I was very distraught. And waited, and finally, there was an officer come by, and I don't know if what he was doing, if he had been out there for another call or something, but he came over and he seen how upset I was, and he gave me his name, and I just caught Mixer. That's why I wanted to ask to make sure I had it right, Chief. And I don't know if he was coming off duty or whatever, but he offered to sit down and console me until I got something from the hospital, from the doctor. And in this day and age, with all this going on with officers and black young men and women, there are some good ones, and we have one here, and I owe him a debt of gratitude. And if I ever can get in touch with him, I'm gonna shake his hand and give him a big hug, because it helped me out. Because shortly after he sat down, I said, "No, you don't have to." And he said, "No, I'll sit with you." And just about 1 or 2 minutes later, the chaplain come in. So that's how serious it was. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for coming down on. Appreciate seeing you tonight. And Chief, make sure you do pass that message on to Officer Mixer. God bless him. God bless him.
I'm Terry Strother, and I live at 212 South Gunnison, a few blocks from Apollo School. If there's anything that you can do to save Apollo, I think that that you owe this city to save it. It is a strong, solid building. I was here a few months ago and said the same thing. It's just saved the building. If you have a developer who really has plans that are developable and strong. Save Apollo. Do not tear Apollo down. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Anybody else from the audience? It's been lovely tonight.
Same lady, Kelly Hall, 816 Valley. So I asked to be put on the agenda a few weeks ago, and I don't remember because no one had their name tags out, but I really wasn't allowed to speak and your work session. And that was rather upsetting because I wasn't allowed to address anything that was said to me, such as my windows being broken out after I replaced them. Okay, it was quite offensive for me as a business owner and somebody that worked very hard in business for many, many years. I've owned the building since I was 30 years old, and I've put quite a lot of my own funds into the building. And I'm here to address the council once again, with all respect, to take a look at the documents that I'm going to show you. Okay, and these documents have come in the form of nuisance abatements on my building and letters that were written to me such as, please be advised, this will be your only notice of the year. And then all the different amounts that were charged for the mowing of the area that is adjacent to the property that I own. Okay, and you know, I understand that, you know, the mowing needed to be done. However, I never got any of these notices. Okay, and here I am now putting money into the city. Not only did I offer to buy one of your properties, and apparently I'm building a house on it later. Okay, so within 180 days, is that right, Eric? So there is a baseline fee of $4,780 that the city has charged me, plus, of course, what I consider to be, you know, very close to usury rates, 2% annually. Okay, that's compounded. And such things as boarding up my building. And Mr. Judd was here. Apparently, he was the contractor that the city of Burlington chose to board up my building. And why he slurred something pretty offensive to me leaving at the last city council meeting, I made sure to correct him that that will never happen again. I asked him what he boarded up for the $1,100 in my building that I own. He told me the entire first floor. Okay, I could never really understand what happened there. And he proceeded to tell me that I was hiring people to then take down the areas that he boarded up. Okay, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars. One was on request from the City of Burlington's fire department. I spent over $10,000 abating the pallets that were in there. Okay, I'm asking that the city just, you know, in good faith on the money that I've already put into the community, not only hiring people of the City of Burlington, but also in the form of permits for my dumpsters, permits for, you know, the zoning changing and all the future taxes. Well, you know, if I don't get them abated like every other project in town, which I'm sure I'll be asking for also. But I'm asking that you do, this business owner, you know, some good faith effort in reversing these $4,780 in baseline charges, or, you know, make some consideration and consign some of that to, you know, good faith on my part. I've moved here, I put a lot of money into this building, I've owned it for many, many years, And there's quite a few difficulties that I've encountered that I don't wish to make public here this afternoon. But, you know, I've spoken to all of you privately, I'm sure. And I'm hoping that you can at least abate these, since, you know, everybody else seems to be getting breaks here in town, such as, you know, other city council meetings that I've attended here for the past several months. $4,780 in nuisance abatements, you know, would really help me out a lot. And I'm asking for, you know, an amnesty on that amount.
Thank you.
That's it, thank you.
Any other comments from the audience? Okay, you guys have been lovely tonight. Mr. Tisland? Annie?
Got nothing.
Tim Scott? I'm good.
Me too.
Me too.
Mr. McGregor?
I'm going to break that cycle.
Break the cycle, Nick.
Sorry. We have a busy week with Public Works. We have 3 bid openings this week. 4th and North Erosion Control is tomorrow. The Depot Storm Sewer and then Agency West are on Wednesday. All of them at 2 o'clock. One will just follow the other. And currently we have Plain Street pretty tore up. Supplier will not have asphalt up until Wednesday, so it's going to be pretty well unusable until then. So please have some patience.
Tell us about the roundabout.
The roundabout, they have to move a gas line, I believe, and Bob may be able to attest to this better than I can. They have a gas line that has to be moved yet, but they are still laying some storm sewer work. Then I believe they're going to bore in the electrical, so as soon as that's done and the grading's done, they should start laying concrete. So,
Thank you.
Chief, can I no, can I have you come anyway? He's like, nah. No, I wanted you to, and I think you can help me with this. I just want to make sure that I gave a shout out to you, Officer Grimshaw. I'm not sure who else was Major Grimshaw. Who else was a part of this? But they had the end of the year shindig out to the camp, and I got a chance to go out there for a little bit and throw around some candy for a hot minute. But could you share that with us? That's man, they were just having the time of their lives when I left, and that I know kids really looked forward to that. So.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what impressed me, what he's speaking about is the after-school programming. They have a picnic at the end of the year where they go out to the Y camp and they get to enjoy some things that I'm confident they normally wouldn't get to enjoy. So last year was the first year, and we talked about this. Several of those kids would walk up to the water and maybe put their toe in and back up. And, well, no, not this year. Where's my life jacket? Where's the canoe? And here we go, you know, and swimming and having fun. So it just goes to show you that those things are remembered and they're very important, and everybody really had a good time. Thanks for bringing that up. It's always that's a lot of fun. We look forward to it.
I'll tell you what, I know the kids had a good time, and it was just good to see the representation. You guys are doing a heck of a job.
Thank you.
Keep it up. Okay. I did remember one thing.
I did too.
Yeah, the first all-city free swim is tomorrow.
You're reading my mind, man. Is it tomorrow, Eric?
Tomorrow. Tomorrow. Okay. The only other thing is, again, you guys get this reminder, and you know, but let's just take it in again. The kids are going to be running and ripping as kids do because it's summertime. So just be mindful of that. Know that the kids are out, and I'm going to give you the same advice my dad gave to me. When you're driving down the road and there's parked cars, look underneath the parked cars for little feet. Just be cautious. I know nobody would want to hurt any little kids, but you know, they're kids, so let's be mindful. That's all I got. So.
Your Honor, I move that we adjourn.
Second. Moved and second. Kathleen?
I like
Wilson?
it.
Aye.
Davidson?
Let's see. Aye.
Fleming?
Aye.
McCampbell?
Yes.
Scott?
Yeah. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Bunch of comedians.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.